In this video, what I wanted to cover is this timeline. So basically not going into too much details, but just showing you that this is the timeline in here. So you can start when you are rendering, you can stop it, you can move it back in the timeline. Oops. And you can move the cursor just like an editor software. You can move it to wherever you want it to be. You can start the time to 0. You can end the time at that many seconds, and that's how we're going to be rendering it. So these are uh, the different things available for basically the timeline. The second one is like the properties window over here. So if you look very carefully over here, so this is like uh, this is basically divided into a lot of options are here. So this is like the work active tool or workspace setting. So this is for the whole space we are in, not just one object. So if it is clear, if the cube is selected, it is not just like for the cube. It is for the whole uh, uh, like for the whole workspace. So you can have the settings for the whole workspace, right? uh, and then these ones, and also if you look carefully, you can see that this one is separated from the next set of the settings, and then this one is, so the next set of settings are for the scene. So scene is there, and then we have the sampling, we've got the dimensions, we've got the view layer, we've got the scene properties, okay, and we've got this word, and this is related to the scene, and we will go through it like in our uh, other tutorials, uh, like how we can tweak them, like how we can play with them, stuff like that. The next set of options, starting from this one, which is actually the object property, to this thing which is the material property. This is like related to the object which is selected. So if you select this one, which is a cube here, it's gonna show you all the properties, or it's gonna let you tweak all the properties related to that cube. If you select the camera, you will see that the set of properties have been changed, and these are all for the object. This is, again, we're gonna go through them in a second. And if you select the light, you will see the light bulb and all the related properties which you can do with the cube. The last one which stays there is basically in its own category, because this is the texture property, and you can actually like use it for the brush or brush mask, uh, and you can create a new, so basically you can have the same kind of properties, the texture properties, for multiple objects. So staying back to with the cube, this is the object property, right? So basically you can transform the location, rotation, scale, the relations, if you like, in a hierarchy. If this one has some parent or a parent-child relationship, you can put in here. You can have collections, instancing, motion paths, like how exactly it's gonna move and stuff like that. It's gonna go in here. The second one is the add modifier. So basically this is like you're gonna be saying that I wanted to add uh, the bezel modifier to add, I wanted to add curve modifier to add, stuff like that. So basically it's gonna be the same object, but we will have multiple modifiers to that particular object. This thing, which is for the particle properties, is like uh, basically it's gonna say that how the particle, basically emission, gash, velocity. So if you want to move the object, how exactly is it gonna is it gonna behave. So what's gonna be the physics? You can change the mass and stuff like that for that. So you can see that it has some forces being shown on multiple from the multiple direction, like on this particle. The next one is the physics properties, specific physics properties like the force field, collision, cloth, soft body fluid, uh, like flow, and okay. So yeah, and the next one we wanted to cover is the object constraint properties. So if there are object constraints, like if one should copy the location of another one should copy the rotation or scale. When one becomes small, it should become small too, stuff like that. Putting any constraints or limitations for an object is gonna go here. The third. Okay, next we're gonna be covering this object data properties. Over here you can actually, so every object has some properties. That's why a cube is a cube. It's not a mesh or not uh, like a circular object. So you can actually change the UV maps, vertex colors, face maps. All the physics properties can be changed over. Not basically the object's properties can be changed here. So if it is a cube and stuff like that. This one is the material properties. So if you wanna, so once like how it's gonna look like, what color it's gonna have, how bright it's gonna be, and stuff like that is gonna go. What should be the volume of that? What should be the settings? This is like for the particular material properties. The last one, as I said, it's a texture properties, and be it can actually uh, relate to multiple objects at a time. I wanted to also show you this light one. Well, once you enable that, or once you highlight that, it's gonna show you this bulb one. It will say object data properties. So over here you can change the color of the light, you can change the power of the light, and the radius, and shadow or not, no shadow. And same thing is for the camera. Once you do the camera one, you can change the perspective type from perspective to orthographic or panoramic, and clip start, where should it start and where should it end, stuff like that. And those were the things I wanted to cover.